Going to be working on the BSA 650 today. I know it's been a while since I did a video, but as you can see, I'm a little covered up in motorcycles. Got 6 of them in the shop at the moment, and I need to sell a couple, so I'm trying to get rid of 2 of them. My 500cc Honda Cafe Racer back there in the corner, and then this GL 650 Silverwing. I'm trying to get rid of both those bikes to make some room in here, keep the 2 BSAs and my small 350 Honda that I built, and of course the Ducati. So anyway, so I'm trying to make some room in the shop, but in the meantime, I wanted to work on the BSA 650 because, as you know, the speedometer that was on this thing when I got it had it was all broken. The needle was broken. It wasn't recording speed properly, etc., etc. So I got this aftermarket one that you see here, and it's a good little unit. It's attractive and everything, but it's not original to the bike. And as you can see, this metal rim here doesn't get below the edge of the rubber cup, and on BSAs that should sit down within. And again, it's not original to the bike, so I wanted to ultimately end up where I'm original to the bike. So with that said, I took the speedometer that came on the bike along with one that I purchased on eBay and tried to look for something there. The one I got off of eBay is this one here. It wasn't in nearly this good a condition. Yeah, in fact, it was locked up and, quite frankly, misrepresented for sale on the internet there. So anyway, so this one was one that I got off of eBay. This is the original to the bike, and of course, it was in terrible shape. I sent both of them off to a restoration guy that restores gauges, the Smith's gauges. And they came back, and they're just beautiful, as you can see here. It's a fantastic work, right down to the decal that goes on the lens. Just everything about them, just a great job. As you can see, beautifully restored gauge. So my plan is, I'll put this one, it's the original gauge that was on the bike, back on the bike, have it properly installed. To do this, we're going to have to take the one I put on the bike off. Then also the one I put on the bike has a different gauge illumination light in the back, so I'm gonna have to get rid of that illumination light. It attaches differently, and get the old illumination light, which I kept from this gauge, get it wired in, and then connect it, put the gauge in, and then we should have the whole thing back to 100% original parts. So that's the goal, and that's what we're going to try to do today. I'm going to get a few things set up and then bring you guys along for the ride. Thanks for watching. All right, so let's get this gauge off of here first of all. So I'm going to disconnect the light, which is just a press fit. Basically, you push it in to the back of this aftermarket gauge. We'll get it out of here like this. Then we're going to unscrew the speedometer cable from the back of the gauge. Alright, and then we're going to kind of put it in a position up here so it won't fall. I have to chase it. Just sneak it through right there. Leave that so we can get to it. Have this where we can get to it. All right, now I'm just going to pop this gauge, this aftermarket gauge, out of the rubber cup. It can be a little tight. You have to slip the reset in there, and it's a little bit tricky to get sometimes, but it always comes. So there we go. So again, this is the aftermarket gauge that I installed, and of course I'll keep it, and there's always other applications, but we've got this. So this is out, the cup's here. Now, one of the things with the with the original Smith's gauge, besides I have to change this out, this is a 2-wire light. It has a ground wire and a power, and it goes to this light so that that circuit completes and burns the light. The original Smith's gauge, the fitting was metal, and where it goes into the back of the gauge, it is where it grounds. And in order to make the gauge ground, when it's sitting in a rubber cup like this, it has to tie into one of the bolts that bolts this rubber cup onto the mounting bracket. So I'm going to have to take one of those loose and introduce that little short run of ground wire in here, and then tie it to the back of the gauge, along with getting this light changed out to the original, which I'm probably gonna have to go into the headlight and get that wiring redone. So that's what's up next. So here's the little piece of ground wire. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I got the camera mounted over here to another bike just so I can kind of let you guys see things as they go. It's hard to film and do everything in one man show here. But anyway, this little run goes to one of these mounting bolts and then to the back of the gauge, and that's how it grounds the gauge, which grounds the wire. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and take the headlight loose so that I can work on the wiring, because that's probably what's going to take the most time, quite frankly, is work on the wiring for this light and get the new wire, or the original, I should say, piece attached to the bike. So take this down, nice and easy. Stay. All right. So this circuit comes up in here. And it's these 2 wires right here that are making up that circuit. So we got connection here, but to see which ones are hot and which one is our ground. Let me grab my other light and get it over here and get this straightened out. And this is what I was talking about. Let me get out of the way here. About how this original light, you can see how it's just got these little things that hold it in. It goes right in this hole right here, and it would ground to this casing, but this casing has to ground. Therefore, we have to put the little run of wire to ground it, get this in, and get power just to the single wire going to this light. So that's the objective. All right. So let's see here. Grab a chair. Not putting the bike up on the lift today. Currently got the Ducati up there. I just did an oil change on it. Anyway, didn't feel like shuffling a bunch of bikes around just for this, what should be a fairly straightforward operation. So let's see here. So we'll pop that out. That's the ground. And this should be power coming from the headlight. So if this is power coming from the headlight, serious crimp there, okay. So good news there is I did use a proper connector. So that should take this, actually put it on the other side over here. That should slide it right back on here. And that should let us take this instrument light wire out of here. And there you go. So here's our old instrument light coming out. And now this should work where if I take and get my correct pliers. Sorry about that, guys. I should have those pliers ready to go and standing by. But I found them. These are for putting these Lucas connectors together. They work really well. So, like I say, they are good for the task. Although, I've got two females. Oh, great. So that means I'm going to have to crimp a proper connection on this side over here, or this side over here, either way, to get these tied off together, or put a splice in the middle, which I hate that. Too many splices look stupid. So I'm going to have to cut this, crimp on a proper connector, and then we'll take it from there. So just make sure. Yep. All right. Fortunately, I bought a bunch when I started doing a restoration on this bike, so I have a proper connector. Just got to go ahead and put it on here and get that. All right, got my other tool, which is crimpers that are specific to these Lucas connectors. And then I've got some proper Lucas connectors and my regular snips. So first things first, we'll just cut this. I need as much as I can get, so we'll just cut it really close. And then strip it. Stripped. Get our wire twisted in. Set those aside. But when he told me that, like I said, it made a real difference. Helped me get a lot more stuff done. All right, looks like we got about a perfect crimp on it that time. Seems tight on the wire. Got good coverage. All right, so that's a good crimp. Let's take our light. Just gonna have to come in through the grommet over here. So that mess. Drop it down through here. And I'm going to have to push it through the grommet. There it is. Bring that up through the grommet, connect it. This is where these Lucas connection pliers come in handy. They allow you to grab both ends and bring it together, and it just clicks right in, and it's so easy to do. You know, these Lucas connectors, I've heard people bitch and complain about them, but I tell you what, I like them. I'd like to use them on everybody. Maybe I'm crazy, but they work really, really smoothly. It's just snap and you're done. Okay, so that puts that light in there. Now, I can test this light, which I'm going to do. I'm going to hook to the rim here and take that to a grounding point, and then turn the lights on and see if that comes on. So let me grab the keys real quick and we'll do that. So got the keys. Put attach this here. Good old bite of it. Doesn't matter. And we'll attach here. Yep. Alright. Attach it like this then. Hang on to that a little bit better. I'll just come over here and get this ground. Ground is ground, so it doesn't matter. Alright, let's turn this off so it won't fuse. Turn it back on. Bike is on. Let's turn the headlight on. Alright, so this is not working. Means the bulb's probably bad. Let me verify that. Which is easy enough to do. Get the test light, make sure we're getting voltage here, but I bet you that little bulb is bad. I hope I have another bulb. If not, we'll just get all this installed and worry about that later. Alright, let's turn this on. It's on. So light comes on now, it's just a bad connection there. Twisted the light bulb a little bit, and as you can see, that light's working. So we've got a good light, good bulb, everything's set there. Now we can tackle the gauges and get all that part installed. We should be good to go. All right. So take care of, don't need wiring tools anymore. We'll get those out of the way, or at least for now. I may need the test light if things don't come on once we're done, but everything's testing good. A couple things here. Again, Whitworth wrench set. Again, thank you. I can't remember. Apologize, can't remember the name of the individual that was watching the videos and commented and told me, it says, man, you're using the wrong wrench set. So I bought a set of wrenches and it has made a tremendous difference. So let's see here. I'm going to, let me take this off. Deal with that later. This is going to be this 3/16. And there's other ways to do this. I mean, I could take this loose rather than take this mounting bracket loose, but I kind of wanted to get it off, and that way I can fit the gauge to it and hopefully really make this thing a little easier to deal with. Sometimes taking things more apart actually makes them a little easier. All right, so I got this off. I can get my wire set up. Looks like we're gonna need couple of screws. You get this wire attached to the back of the gauge here, and then we'll bring it back, and like I say, we'll probably attach it like right in here, come out through here, attach to here, and that should ground it to this, which grounds all the way into the fork. So that'll be our ground. That's the way the thing was set up originally. So we'll get the gauge in here with this in a minute, but let me get this attached it in here real quick. All right, let's go ahead and put this headlight back together while we're in process here. All right, let's turn on the headlight, make sure it works. Power on, pilot. Headlight, tail light's on, pilot, off. back over here and get the gauge set up. See if I can bring you guys with me. It's gonna be hard to do. I'm not, like I said, I don't have a bunch of camera stuff, so forgive me. I'm gonna run over here real quick and get this piece installed. Like I said, it's just putting the wire on, so you guys aren't gonna miss much. So I went over to the bench over here and just real quick, so you can see what I did. Set this gauge aside. I don't want to mess it up. I'll put it right down here. What we did, this ground wire, attached it here. I thought about attaching it on the inside, but there's a lot of rubber in there, and I want to make sure I'm getting the ground, so I attached it to the outside. There's some paint involved, so I still may not get the proper ground. I may have to rework that a little bit, but anyway, that's the idea. So now I have to attach it, the other side, to a wire here in the gauge. So what I'm going to do is make it as, there's already a bend in that wire where it existed previously, and that bend carries it around to the top of the gauge, and the bottom of the gauge is here where this trip reset is, and so I want to be opposite of that, so I'm going to try and attach the other end of the wire here to the top of the gauge. Now we have this ground wire is attached to the back of the gauge, and it attaches to the housing for the mounting here. So now I'm going to try and see if we can lock the gauge in. And you have to get that reset knob through the rubber cup, and then push the gauge in. So first you have to get it really aligned well. Make sure that you're in the right spot as far as the rubber cup is concerned. And then the thing with these gauges, I say they're not supposed to ride on top like this. They're supposed to live down. There's a groove, and you have to push the gauge down into that groove. So I'll kind of walk it in a little bit, and as we do, the gauge should drop down into the groove, and when it does, it should actually get a little easier. Yep. So walking on in, off very slightly. I'm going to take this to the bench because I think we're not quite aligned with the holes here, but we're real close. Let me go do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so they're twisted and aligned a little better. But what you can see how this rim sits down in that groove on this way it's supposed to fit on these original Smiths to this rubber cup here. And then there's our reset. Let's check and make sure our reset is working fine. So our trip reset's working fine. So this is our original gauge. We've got it in here. There's a little rearranging here. So slide that over there. That's better. Again, ground wires in there, so that should be working. Now, one thing I want to do here is we'll take, before we put this back on, I want to check and see if this lights up when in the gauge. And I'm going to ground this bracket with a jumper, which I already put away. Let me go get that back. Right there. Over here. Click to that right there. Enough. And let's see here. Let's try to keep the lock position. lights, pilot, nice, bright, and it is working. It's illuminating the gauge. I can't really show you guys, but I can see it in here. So that is working. So that works. So it is going to ground. Our ground is effective. So all I have to do is bolt this back on, and we have installed our new setup, which is really not a new setup, it's the original setup, right? Gauge is mounted up. Pull the camera here and show you guys what the finished product looks like. So this is what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So now we've got a nice, complete, proper BSA Thunderbolt gauge on here. It's bolted in. So the guy that restored this gauge did a fantastic job. I need to wipe the fingerprints off of it, but I'll do that in a minute. But he just did a great job restoring the gauge. Really, really pleased. I don't know if he wants his name out there or not, so I'm not going to do it, but really, really pleased with the result. Anyway, that's the video for this week. If I can get a couple of bikes sold again, I'm selling this CB500 Cafe Racer and that GL650 Gold Wing over there, or not Gold Wing, Silver Wing. Those are two bikes I'm trying to sell. They'll make me some room. I can get the Ducati down off the lift over here, and my little 350 I intend to keep. So those will be the 4 bikes I try to keep. And then I'll start rotating projects for the rest of the stuff. But anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope the video was helpful. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe.